Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Here.
Mr. Franco.
I am here.
And Mr. Cabrera.
I am here. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, the notice requirements have been satisfied as to the time, place, and date of holding said meeting by posting notice on the bulletin board here in Borough Hall and by mailing and emailing same to the Herald of Cape May County on October 4th, 2023, and the Press of Atlantic City on December 13th, 2023. In the event of an emergency, your emergency exit is the way you came in, our front left, your back right, or just by the American flag, our front right, your front left. Couple quick announcements. I want to do a quick sound check. Brian, how are we making out there with the sound? We're all good. This meeting is being shown live here today on the borough's Facebook and the YouTube channel. If you want to call in and ask a question or make a public comment, all we need is your name. You're going to dial the access code 888-363-4734, and when prompted, you're going to enter the access code 9699020, followed by the pound or the hashtag. If you watch the recorded version of this meeting and you have a question or comment you would like to make, you're more than welcome to phone our clerk at 609-729-8040, or you can email her at clerk@wildwoodcrest.org. Madam Clerk, I believe we have an introduction for an ordinance.
Yes, sir. It is ordinance number 1436, and it reads as follows. An ordinance to amend Section 59-3 of the Code of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, known as the Salary Ordinance, fixing and determining salaries and compensations of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, and providing for the raising of the amounts thereof by taxation and for the time and method of payment.
Motions that ordinance number 1436 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on September 4th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m.
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1436 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on September 4th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next, we have the resolutions. The first is authorizing waiving all fees required by application to Lunch with Lynch, Inc. for a 1-mile foot race on September 7th, 2024, from 5 to 9 p.m. on the bike path.
I'll motion that.
I will second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing increase of contract in the amount of $23,000 to Star Septic LLC for portable toilets contract.
I'll motion that.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the Borough of Wildwood Crest to establish an insurance review committee.
I'll motion it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing waiving all fees required by application to the Ukrainian Congress Committee, Inc. on August 24th, 2024, from 1:30 to 2 p.m. on the beach between Crocus and Astor Roads.
I'll motion that.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing refund of property taxes or utilities overpayment made payable. That should be KH&J Ventures LLC.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing cancellation and refund of taxes for a totally disabled veteran.
Motion that.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing award of professional services contract to Concord Engineering for construction management and professional engineering services for a rooftop air handling unit replacement at Crest Pier at the not-to-exceed sum of $10,160.
I'll motion it.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is revising the authorization for participation in alternate route appointments for police officers.
I'll motion.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing expenditure to purchase tasers and software for the police department under state contract in the amount of $39,295.90 over 5 years.
I'll motion it.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Francine, you can't get one of them.
Next is authorizing amendment to the 2024 municipal budget to account for additional funding from the New Jersey Urban Enterprise Zone Authority for the 2024 Urban Enterprise Zone Program Grant.
I'll motion.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Lastly is authorizing award of professional services contract with Scott Taylor of Taylor Design Group, Inc. for final design phase fee services tasks 2.0 to 2.3 and 3.0 for the New Jersey Avenue streetscape at the not-to-exceed sum of $123,775.
I'll motion it.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that all bills properly authorized as submitted be paid.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that all bills properly authorized as submitted be paid. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that all reports received from the court administrator, chief financial officer, tax collector, chief of police, supervisor for the recreation department, construction official, emergency services coordinator for the EMS and Wildwood Crest volunteer fire company chief for the month ending July 31st, 2024 be accepted as presented.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that all reports received from the court administrator, chief financial officer, tax collector, chief of police, supervisor for the recreation department, construction official, emergency services coordinator for the EMS, and the Wildwood Crest volunteer fire company chief for the month ending July 31st, 2024 be accepted as presented. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that all minutes from commission's meeting dated July 25th, 2024 and August 7th, 2024 be approved as presented.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that all minutes from the commission meetings dated July 25th and August 7th, 2024 be approved as presented. Roll call, Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Thanks, Treasurer.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna change up the reports just a little bit here. We're gonna start with our engineer. Mr. de Blasio, you wanna kick it off?
Thank you, Mayor. I have two updates for the borough under capital projects. The first one is the Beach Patrol Headquarters project. That project is near completion. We're in the closeout phase. We had a walkthrough with the construction office, and we're very close to a certificate of occupancy. The second project update is for the Bayside Bulkhead Replacement and Flood Mitigation Project. We continue to have robust interest in the project. Numerous bidders have picked up, are asking questions. There's a lot of interest in that project. That bid opening is scheduled for next Wednesday, and if we have a responsible bidder that's within budget, we will be in position to potentially award a contract the first meeting in September. And last item for update under grant applications, the New Jersey I-Bank is a revolving state-funded program that pays for water and sewer improvement projects that also includes roadway improvements as well. We've had initial conversations with the New Jersey I-Bank, we call it NJIB, and we were pleasantly surprised to hear that the borough is eligible for a $2 million principal forgiveness grant on a project that's related to sanitary sewer replacement as well as roadway improvements as a restoration to that sewer. We have a pre-planning application meeting on September 5th at 1:45 p.m. My anticipation and hope is that it'll be a good conversation. We'll be eligible for those funds and put you in position to consider a project.
Good job.
That is my report.
Governing body, any questions for Mr. de Blasio?
None from me. Thanks, Mark.
Mark, on the New Jersey I-Bank, if I'm not mistaken, we actually had that under, we had that on for discussion. I think you and Francine did a presentation, you were on a webinar, so that was something, this is a kind of a follow-up to that. So
Yes.
I think after that, maybe after that September 5th, we need to probably identify based on priority between Public Works and your master plan that you did way back in 2018 or 19, kind of
Correct.
merging them all together.
And I think one of the candidates for consideration is Park Boulevard. that runs, I guess, perpendicular to the project that hopefully we're going to do, which is the street ends. And if that becomes part of the I-Bank project, that gives us an opportunity to potentially raise the roadways on Park Boulevard as well to help your Bayside replacement project with flood mitigation. So that's been designed so that in the future, if we do get funding and we do touch Park Boulevard, we can raise Park Boulevard. So hopefully you might have a project right behind it and we can tie it all together.
Gotcha. Okay. Public, any questions of our engineer? He has to leave, so ask now if you have anything for our engineer on his report or anything in general that requires an engineer. Hearing none. Anybody on the conference line for our engineer? Mr. Blasio, you are excused.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Okay, moving right along, we're going to move right to the public safety reports. Mr. Cripps, we're going to start with him.
What about Connie, Mr. Connie's?
Mr. Cripps has a
He
meeting.
has a meeting to go
Yes,
to.
I am all over the place with
That's
this
all right,
agenda.
that's all right, sorry about that.
It's okay.
All right, Governing Body Administrator. My monthly report for July. Chief, do you want me to do yours or you got yours? Got it, okay. Come up here, we'll do it together. Oh, boy. Yeah, so anyway, for EMS report for July, file life has taken off. We've been offered to do some organizations as well as many of the condo associations requested our agency to present this program, so it's been very well received, and we're grateful to the public for their interest. Our agency did present to Ladies of the Knights Auxiliary, which Madam Clerk read at last month's meeting. We were able to purchase an adult-size training mannequin, a full-size adult mannequin. This purchase was due to a very generous and anonymous donor that we were, I can't say about it, but we're grateful for them and their family for what they did. And we purchased infant restraint system called a Neomate due to the change in regulation in regards to children, car seats, and stretchers, and our transportation in the state of New Jersey. We have to do it that way. I'll start with 165 calls of service, 67 of them were transports, 32 were refusals, 42 were between fire standbys and rescue calls, or excuse me, elevator calls. 16 were either medical recalled or no calls for action, and that is all I have for the report. Turning it over to my partner here, crime, Chief Cortez.
Okay, I'm new at this, so you have to forgive me. All right, for the month of July, we had a total of 52 calls.
I got you.
You got me? All right, good. Which included 4 fires, including cooking, rubbish, mulch vehicles. We had rescue and EMS, which included motor vehicle accidents, medical assist, elevator entrapments, and water rescues. We had 11 of those. Hazardous conditions, electrical hazards, gas leaks, 7. Service calls, which were assist police department for public assist. We had 5 of those. Good intent calls, smoke scares, odor of smoke, investigations with no incident, we had 1. False alarm and false calls, we had 23 of those. And severe weather disaster, which was a lightning strike, for a total of 52 runs for the month of July. We're currently at 267 total for the year. And what we're in the process of doing is trying to get volunteers. If you notice, there's signs all over the borough. We're in desperate need of volunteers, just like everybody else is. So we're starting a program, and we're trying to get it underway, and the sooner the better. And that's all I have.
That's all I got.
Okay,
Great job, sir.
Thank you.
thank you, gentlemen.
Stop pulling those false alarms, guys.
Let's see, how about we go to Chief Lloyd?
Evening, governing body, public, administrator, CFO, clerk. I'm going to go over some highlights from my July report to the Commissioner of Public Safety. In the month of July, the police department responded to 3,238 calls for service. 2,043 of those required more than one officer. We had 389 criminal investigations. We had 625 service calls, which include alarms, citizen assist, fires, medical assist, school-related activities, and utility complaints. We conducted 763 motor vehicle stops, which was actually 40%, around 40% over our 536 in 2023. We issued 147 motor vehicle summonses, responded to 28 motor vehicle accidents. We conducted 488 property checks. We did 177 hours of training, and for the month of July, we had 43 arrests, which was around 75% over our 25 in 2023. 40 adult arrests, 3 juvenile, and 9 DUIs. So that'll be my report unless somebody has questions.
None from me.
Thank
No.
you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Chief. All right, finishing up the public safety reports, we're going to go with Lieutenant Murphy.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name's Vic Murphy. I'm a North Sector Lieutenant on the beach in Wildwood Crest. Those are hard reports to follow up with, so I'm going to change some of Chief's bullets and try to chronologically do some things and talk about the end of the summer at the very end. We did have, just recently, our 103rd, which is hard to believe, annual Lifeguard Ball and Awards Ceremony at the Iconia on August 12th. It was a great event. Some of our folks couldn't make it because South Jerseys were the same night. So a few of those guys decided to stay with the program, went out of town, and competed well for us that night. The Junior Lifeguard and Futures programs have ended. We had a total of 187 registrants between those two programs, a majority of those obviously in the Junior Lifeguard program. And the last class was held at Morey's Water Park, where they partake in the water slides and the activities there, pizza, pictures, T-shirts, and it culminates in a very good community effort on the part of our kids to take care of that program. We're very proud of them. We had another successful season racing this summer. The men and women on the Beach Patrol competed in 16 out-of-town races, and they represented our city very well, and we actually had comments from other beaches on how they conduct themselves throughout these contests. So we're happy to have that type of reputation here in South Jersey. We'll have 2 boats. This is older. We had 2 boats entered in around the Island Row, which was just on Tuesday, yesterday, and both of them fared in the top 10. However, some of you know our Olympian Joe Malloy. He was actually in the race with someone from Wildwood, and they finished in the top of the heat as far as ahead of our guys. So it's pretty neat to see Joe back in the boat after so many years. Okay, on to the most important part. Our emergency response teams will be available on the weekends of September 14th, 15th, and September 21, 22. And that's from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And reminding people that that is not a guarded program, that is a response program. Due to a limited number of staff, only 6 beaches will be protected by lifeguards the 4 days after Labor Day, which is Tuesday, September 3rd to Friday, September 6th. Those beaches that will be guarded are Lavender, Columbine, Primrose, Nashville, Syracuse, and Trenton. And because we spread our chairs out fairly wide, we encourage people that are coming to the beach not to swim exactly between the chairs, but as close to the chairs as possibly can afford them. Because if we can't see you, we can't help you, all right? So we like to put that reminder out there. Let's see. if he has anything else here. No, if you have any questions, please call our Beach Patrol for questions or concerns, anything coming up here, especially as we move on into the end of the season. And that number is 609-522-3825. I'm happy to answer any questions or something that I didn't cover you might be curious about, if there are any. Someone? Okay, very good.
Thanks,
I'm here.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Vic.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Okay, that wraps up the public safety reports. We're going to move right to the administrator's report.
Thank you, sir. I'll keep it brief. Right now, the beach and dune construction, Hereford Inlet to Cape May Inlet Dune and Beach Project, which is an Army Corps project. The mayor and Mark de Blasio, our engineer, and I will be meeting with representatives of coastal engineering and the Army Corps tomorrow via Teams to discuss the impact of this project on our fishing pier. We are attempting to get what's called a LERD credit for the impact that this dune will have on that fishing pier. So we're going to be meeting tomorrow on that, and I will report back on that. Mark has completed his surveying work, so the acquisition phase and the easement phase of that project has, we're proceeding through it really well, and we should be wrapping that up shortly. New Jersey Avenue planning work is ongoing in advance of the county's roadway project. The Taylor Design Group was awarded a professional services contract this evening to complete the final drawings that Triad will be using in an informational piece that we'll be putting out on that project. This project is expected to commence in 2025 with some sewer improvements and go into 2026 and beyond. It's a county roadway project that will take a few years. Sunset Lake Channel dredging. I did get a phone call from Scott Douglas last week. He will be retiring shortly, so he has asked for a transitional meeting in the next week or so to ensure that there's a smooth transition and so that we can meet the new representative from DOT who will be taking over the project. And I will keep everybody posted on that, especially Commissioner Franco. CAFRA applications, we have satisfied all the information requests from DEP for our ADR meeting, which was a few months ago. Our updates are requested by our attorney weekly or bi-weekly, and we still don't have any information or outcome on that. Mark reported on the Bayside Bulkhead project. Washington Avenue flood mitigation, we are still waiting on word from FEMA to see if we are successful in our application to FEMA for the flood mitigation project there. The Small Cities ADA project from 2023 is the bathrooms here. 2024, we have been approved for Crest Pier bathrooms. We are still awaiting the final drawings from Mr. McLeese. He did have a gentleman here last week, the MEP guy, and they did a last-minute reconnaissance, so I think we're going to be seeing those plans shortly. Cape May County Road Safety Plan, the draft plan is on their website. We also, in conjunction with the county's plan, we are doing our own application to the federal government for a Safe Streets for All grant. It's a planning and implementation study for $200,000. Our match is approximately $40,000. So we did get a copy of the draft application today from Colliers. I did send that out to the governing body via email today for everybody to look at before it's finalized. I also sent it to the Chief of Police and Ralph Grassi from Public Safety for review. The Middle Thoroughfare Bridge, I'm happy to report, is now open. I wanted to thank Lower Township and the county. They worked very hard to make sure that that bridge got open. It was, I think, a lot of stress and anxiety, and it looked like it was going to be a long-term closure. It turned out that they were able to make some repairs that are temporary until a new motor does arrive, but that bridge will go up and down. It is anticipated that it will take a little longer for it to go up and go down, about 3 times longer than normal, but as long as it's going up and down, I think we're all happy. So I think that was a great result. But we did have contingency plans in place. I know there were a lot of comments from the public about what plans there were, and we were working closely alongside Lower to make sure that the public safety was addressed. That's all I have.
Okay. Governing Bonnie, any questions for Connie?
Thank you, Connie, I'm good.
Public, any questions for Connie? Conference line, anybody? Okay, moving right along, what brings us to correspondence. So, I received an email a couple weeks ago from a neighbor of our property. When I say our property, it's at 5900 New Jersey Avenue. So that is on the corner of Crocus and New Jersey. It was purchased, I'm going to say 5 years ago or so, with the idea of potentially that becoming a parking lot. So it sits as it exists now as a vacant home. Public Works has been keeping up with the grass and to the best they can to the outside of the house itself. If you read the email, it basically suggests that the house is starting to show its signs of wear. The question really becomes is, what is the borough's intentions of what to do with it? We haven't made any decisions, so I did advise this individual that we would put on the agenda for a discussion. I'm not sure we'll have an answer, but as it stands right now, the borough owns it. We're doing our best to maintain it. We could certainly demolish the building and just put an empty lot there, or we could keep it as is. There hasn't been any final determination in terms of whether or not the borough will need that area as a parking lot, because we really need the lot next to it in order for that to happen. So there also exists the possibility that the borough may have another alternate use for that, or potentially put it on the market and selling it if necessary. So I did promise this individual we would put it on the agenda, keep it in front of us. We don't have any answers right now, but I think in the meantime, I think Public Works will just do the best they can to keep it looking as pristine as we can. If anybody sees anything that needs attention, just let the department know. Questions,
Do you want to
comments?
put that on old business?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, discussion items, under new business. First one, police composition, possible ordinance amendment. I'm gonna certainly ask Chief and Commissioner Schiff to fill in the blanks. I'll do my best to overview it. So as of right now, we have in front of us a draft ordinance from both of our legal attorneys that talks about some of the things that have been requested. So the issue of this amendment is the inability or the difficulty in getting seasonal Class 2 officers. So Class 2s are the ones that actually go to the police academy, and they can come out and they would actually be a part of our patrol teams in the borough in the police department. The problem is that a lot of times that they're college kids, they have to go back to school, or they leave and find other work, whatever have you, after the borough has already paid them to go to the academy and learn the borough and all the training involved, and then we won't get them back then for the following year. So the idea proposed by Chief Lloyd, and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, is hey, the money that we're spending on currently 7 seasonal officers, why don't we invest that in 3 full-time officers so that we can have folks, officers that know the borough, that have made this a career, that in essence we're spending the same amount of money as we would on the Class 2s. At the same time, we can ask the police to do some additional duties. We had talked about code and some police camps and so forth. So that's kind of what's in front of us right now. It's on for discussion, so for 2 reasons, just to make sure that the governing body is all aware of the ordinance. We have both of our attorneys here if there's any questions that we need to address. We certainly have Chief Lloyd and Commissioner Schiff to fill in the blanks, and certainly the public, because this is a major change for the borough, right? So the borough and most municipalities have always used Class 2s to fill that summertime void. We're in essence doing away with that, replacing it with full-time staff. The scheduling, I did ask the question, and Chief Lloyd was gracious enough to provide me with a copy of a schedule, and has assured me that hey, we're gonna overtime is not gonna be more, potentially could be less, and the term is a power schedule, could be used to use year-round staff to fill the void of the 7 officers that we potentially wouldn't have that would be here for seasonal. Did I cover that right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Would you like me to-
Yeah, sure.
No, that's good, thank you.
So, there's multiple levels to the issues that we're having with the Class 2 police officers. It's not only the number of people that are applying, which it's not unique to Wildwood Crest, that we're the only ones not getting applications for Class 2 police officers. It's countywide, it's statewide. I just had conversations with multiple Atlanta County police chiefs just the other day on Tuesday. It's everywhere. I've been discussing this with chiefs throughout the state for several years now, and I've been back and forth with the governing body about the struggles that we're having. The number of applicants has reduced significantly. We used to get hundreds of applications. Now we're lucky if we get 15 applications. Not only that, but the cost, the hourly rate for Class 2s has gone up more in the past 4 years than it did in the previous 20. So what we're looking at now is paying a seasonal police officer more money than we're paying some of our full-time police officers that we have out on the street just to get bodies into the building. And that's not helping us in any way. And I've had conversations with Commissioner Schiff that I don't think it's appropriate or right to pay Class 2 police officers more than we're paying our full-time staff. Those are people that have committed to work for us and the borough for year-round, for a career. And now we're going to bring people in just because we need to fill spots, and we're going to pay them more than we're paying a full-time police officer. It just doesn't seem right to me, and I'm not willing to go that route. But we're looking at rates of 23 to 25, 20, who knows where. I mean, just a few years ago it was 18. Now we're up to 20. Class 2s being paid $25 an hour in certain jurisdictions. So that's a struggle. That's not something that can be sustained. It's looking forward, this program, and it's not only my thought, but it's the thought of many police chiefs who have actually taken my proposal and proposed it to their governing bodies and are working on getting more full-time police officers. This is a non-sustainable program, and I don't think that we're going to be seeing Class 2 police officers at least as many as we used to. I don't know what certain agencies that used to hire 40 are doing. I know a lot of them that used to hire 40 were lucky to get 13 this year. And what's happening now is they're overworking their full-time staff trying to cover shifts, and that can be a problem to the municipality, because you now have overworked police officers out on the street who aren't getting enough sleep because they're working 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts. That if you overwork your staff and then you put them out on the street, I mean, you can talk about all kinds of different things that could happen to somebody who's overworked and is not getting enough sleep. And the fact that they're dealing with sometimes hostile and violent situations, I mean, are they making the right decision? There's a lot of factors that come into this. So what I propose to the governing body is suspending the Class 2 program, taking that money that we use for that program, and hiring 3 new full-time police officers. What that'll do is that money that every year now we have been paying, and it would go right out the door with those Class 2 officers in August, mid-August, which doesn't help us for our shoulder seasons, our September and October season, where we have a lot of special events. That money is walking out the door with them, and that's gone forever, right? Every dime that we spend on these full-time police officers is now an investment into the future of not only this police department, but also the future safety and security of this borough. So what I asked of the governing body is to take that money, hire those full-time police officers. And I did explain to the mayor how we would utilize those full-time police officers. The full-time police officers go to a 22-week police academy. The seasonal officers go to a 9-week abbreviated academy. So these full-time police officers are a lot more trained. They're gonna know our town because they're gonna be working here, and they're gonna be able to handle that call volume that it took 7 to 10 SLEO 2s to handle. Those full-time police officers are gonna be able to handle that. The Class 2s that we have that graduate the police academy the week before 4th of July weekend and then come in, we now have our field training officers and our supervisors working harder to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, because they have no idea what they're doing. They just came out of the police academy, and now we're putting them on the street for 4th of July weekend. It's very taxing on our field training officers. It's very taxing on our supervisors. Our supervisors are spending a lot of time in this building rather than out on the street supervising our officers, because they're having to review reports or correct reports or show our Class 2 police officers how to do certain things, and it's taking people off the street. We're doing this, having those full-time police officers, we're going to take a lot of that time that we spent every single year training these new officers. We're going to take that out of the equation, and now our police officers are going to be out on the street doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I'm not saying that the Class 2 police officers were never, I was a Class 2 police officer. They worked for us for a while, but we're in a very different situation than we were 20 years ago. 20 years ago, the Class 2s, they did traffic posts, they did, we used to have parades every weekend. We were out there doing traffic posts for parades, and Class 2 police officers in Wildwood Crest are answering all calls for service. They're going to domestic incidents, they're going to calls where there's weapons, they're going to everything. Right? They're not just walking the boardwalk like they do in other jurisdictions. They're answering all the calls. We want highly trained, dedicated law enforcement professionals patrolling our streets and protecting us. And that's what we're going to get with this plan. We're not going to get the 18, 19, 20-year-old kids who had zero life experience that went to a 9-week abbreviated training academy and are now put out on the street with a gun and a badge. We're not going to get that. We're going to get full-time, highly trained, professional police officers.
Okay, everybody, any questions for the chief?
We had the number that we spent on the Class 2s this year? I don't know it off the top of my head.
It was 170, but that,
70 in the budget, but includes the
But-
other ones too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if I'm gonna, don't quote me on this, but I remember asking this question, that was one of my questions. I think it was 150,000, and the 3 full-time would come in at 135.
Yeah.
Ballpark. All right, off the top of my head. So actually, and then, so we had vetted this at length, at nauseam,
Yes.
actually. So, listen, I think there's as you put the numbers together, it's not a lot of dollars in terms of the annual. There's some legacy costs involved in full disclosure that you would have.
I never said there wasn't there. I
just want the public to know. But I do, listen, I think there's a couple things we need to look at here, right? So we have employee housing issues, so you get seasonal officers, they're looking for places, there's nowhere for them to stay. So if you're here year round, you have somewhere in Cape May County generally a place to live. I think it's safe to say in today's climate, nationally, police officers are under a lot of scrutiny. There's a lot of training. Every time you turn around, there's there's all that. So I can see the benefit of having experienced officers. I think that someone that knows our resort, when someone says, hey, go to Sweetbriar Road, you know exactly where it's at because you're up and down the streets all day long, all year long. And I think there's some other things, duties such as code, as we talked about, that I think we can ask the officers to help us manage in the borough. So as our town blossoms, additional duties come up, laws change, everything, all that's changing. So when I first heard it, I gotta be honest, and I think everyone knew, like, this is not good. And then I think the ask was originally higher, and we finally got it down to a number I think that we can live with and give it a shot. That's my opinion. And I think that, if you've lost the sense of safety and security in a resort town or any town, you've just lost your resort, you just lost your community. And I do not want to see that happen in this community. So,
I 100% agree, and I just want to echo something you said. The margin for error is razor thin. We're definitely under the microscope. There's cameras everywhere. It only takes one incident to become national news, and we don't want that of our borough. And I think with our full-time, professional, highly trained police officers, there's less of a chance of that happening.
yeah, doing nothing is not an option here in this case.
No, sir.
We have to plan for next year already.
Yes, sir.
The time is here. So, as I mentioned when we started this, we have a draft ordinance. So I would ask the governing body and our professionals and our attorneys to take a look at it. Let's get back to Mr. Blaney with any comments or revisions, and Mr. Galzunas. I know Mr. Galzunas had submitted some. Commissioner Franco, Commissioner Schiff, you have anything else to add? Now's the time, but if hearing none and barring any issues, I think we would potentially be looking to introduce this at the next governing body, or next meeting in September.
You're correct on that, Mayor. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Public comments.
Okay.
So, all right. Thank you, Chief.
Well put, thank you.
Okay, next item under new business is junior firefighter, so I'll do my best to review this one. So we have, through our volunteer fire group, and Chief Cortez is here, we have a new program that I think he referenced in his remarks to the governing body, which is one of the new programs is to get a junior firefighter program started in the fire company, and that requires this governing body to pass a resolution, because we basically would provide the insurance coverage for that program as we do the volunteers as it exists now. There was some rules and regulations that were shared. I know that Solicitor Galzunas and Mr. Cortese were working on that. Is there any update on that? Anything that we need to be aware of, or any further discussion that we need at this level, or any presentation or details that we want to go over?
No, Mayor, we've had our last back and forth. They've made some additional changes at my request. I need to review that. I don't see any reason why it would not be on for the next meeting. We're very, very close. It's just minor details in the rules and regulations.
Okay.
The only thing I have to add is, if everything's good, I'd love to see this happen sooner than later, because we need volunteers, and this is just the start of trying to get them. And when they do apply, and they are accepted into our organization, we eliminated anybody below 16 years of age. So what our goal is, from 16 to 18 is a junior firefighter program. At 17, they can go to fire academy and become firefighter 1 classified, which means when they turn 18, they're already qualified, they come right into the company. We need volunteers. To keep the community safe as we do now, we still need more people coming in. So that's why I ask that we do this sooner than later.
We have two so far that
Two so
signed
far,
up?
yeah. As a matter of fact, I spoke last night with the Chief Connie Johnson, who runs the academy, and I told him what our situation was. We're waiting for this resolution, and he's offered to save the 2 spots for our guys. And as soon as it's passed, they can go and make up the classes that they missed.
Okay, good. All right, anybody else, any questions?
It's a no-brainer for me, Joe, so we spoke about this last week,
Yeah.
100% behind it, so
Thank you.
as long as it checks out with Ron, I'm good with it.
I'm the same.
Good.
Good, okay. All right, so I thought it's safe to assume next meeting we'll have a resolution on. Okay. All right, next under old business, or I'm sorry, new business, streetlights.
Yeah, so I brought this up, Mayor, last meeting. So I'm trying to wrap my head around some things with this, because there's emails flying back and forth. So I guess I need the chief's help on this one, if you don't mind, Chief, because I had a list back in, an old list from 2023 that I think indicated, I could be reading it wrong, but we had 68 lights out. So I don't know who, if you see a light out, do you report it to Atlantic City Electric or do you report it to the police department? Because that's where I'm getting, I think, a little bit, I think the
So-
public is getting a little.
So if somebody reports it to the police department, we enter it into the application online for Atlantic City Electric. It actually shows you a map of, well, it shows you a map of, you can pull up anywhere, but it's on Google Earth. But it shows you each light that's been reported and what the status is. So the status is updated by Atlantic City Electric. We enter it into that portal. They do it right on their MDT. They just click the light. They say that whatever the problem is, whether it's the pole is cracked or the light is flickering or the light is totally out, they enter that, and then it's time stamped with a date, the location, and that goes right to Atlantic City Electric, and Atlantic City Electric updates that when they replace the light, and they put it back in working order once it's replaced.
So that list that I had from last year,
Mhm.
the current list that I just got from you last week, I'm reading 21 were out, so it went from 68 to 21. I think that's what I'm reading correctly. But I'm not sure if that's from just you guys or Atlantic City Electric itself. That's where I'm getting confused on. I don't know if that's entirely an accurate list.
I'm not sure I
So I
understand.
got a list from you saying that was 21 out.
Yes, sir.
But Atlantic City Electric, I don't know if Joe Smith reported one to Atlantic City Electric. So I don't know if that's an accurate list or not. I don't know if that makes.
So what happened is we went around that and identified every single one that was out, made a list for the governing body so they could take a look at it, but we also entered it into the application. If it was already entered, then we didn't have to enter it.
Got it. Okay.
And then through Connie and the mayor, we spoke to Ronnie Town, and I had some communication back and forth with her, and they worked extremely hard and got quite a bit done in a very short period of time.
They did. That was, wow, it was magical. They did. So, but no, I that was just my concern. I didn't know what the process was because it seemed to change. So my thought was, I don't know if we can revisit that and put something out for the public, maybe through Brian or the police department, to actually tell the public, hey, if you see a light out, this is the process that you do, because I think it's a little bit gray.
I mean, they've been historically reported to the police department, and it's not like, I mean, we don't have a problem going out to make sure that the light is out. There could be other problems if the light's out too, that we might be able to identify by responding out there. But if the public does want to just enter it into the application, they can do that online. I don't remember the exact name of the app, but if you
just
type in
It's
Atlantic,
on their app and there's a little
yeah,
section
you
that
just
says
type in
street
Atlantic
light
City
out.
But you need the
Electric
pole
street
number.
light out, and it comes right
You need the
up.
poll number.
Yeah, but
Yes.
you can go right on the map and pulls it right up and
Right.
gives you everything.
Yeah, gotta have the phone number.
Hey,
Well,
Lou-
It's
so
a-
on the
it's
map,
an app
if
to show you
if
that.
you look at
You
the
don't
map,
have
you
it.
zoom in, you can look in it, and when you click on that light, it actually
It shows you.
pulls up the
That's
the,
new as of like last year,
poll
they
number.
started doing
So,
that.
so let's summarize what I think Commissioner Franco just brought up. So there's different ways, right? So you see a street light, so residents can certainly go online to do it. I know that they've contacted the police. I know they've contacted the clerk's office before. I know that the Public Works has got involved in reports. So it's kind of like everybody's got their hands in, and I think
That was my
I
problem.
think what you're saying is
trying to
what
tighten
that's
it up.
can we streamline this process in terms of, hey, can we just get everybody, if you're gonna call it into the municipality, who should it go to? And then who can get it into Atlantic City Electric and report? Because there's a lot of people that don't have an app, don't have to take the time. They just say, hey, they're gonna call Borough Hall because that's what we do, right? We're here to serve the public. So question is, who would do it, number one? And then I guess once it's reported, should there be a follow-up as to, hey, let's just take a look at what Atlantic City Electric has in their database as being open and which has been closed, so we can kind of keep our finger on the pulse of, is progress happening when things get reported.
So
I nominate the police
we're-
department.
We're working at night when people typically identify that a light is out, and if you call the police department anytime of the day, we're gonna respond. So, I mean, calling the clerk's office or calling Public Works when it's nice and sunny and bright out, it's kind of tough for them to identify what light is exactly out. Whereas if we're working in the middle of the night, we'll be able to tell, and we can just enter it in and we can follow up on it.
Chief, and Commissioners, can we anoint the police department as the official streetlight department internally in the borough? Can we all agree on that?
Do we have to put that in the ordinance?
I don't think, we could put that in the ordinance too, since it's out there. If that would be okay with everybody, I think.
That's a problem.
Okay, so that's,
We do it already and we're happy to do it, so.
all right, so anybody gets a streetlight complaint, we're gonna direct it to the police department so they can get it squared away.
To add to that, I did speak to Ronnie Town quickly about it and just said, okay, so what happens when we report it, it doesn't get fixed? She said, if you don't see it get fixed within 2 weeks, that should trigger like you to follow up with us, because we don't have guys that drive around at night. They don't have any. They drive around and look for outages. And sometimes they'll send a repairman out and they'll try to fix it. And as the chief said, it's not because it's the bulb, it's something else. So they think they fixed it, but it's daylight. That night, it doesn't come back on, but they think they fixed it. So 2 weeks could go by, and that light's not fixed, but they don't know it. They think they fixed it. So it's important for us to follow up. I know it's an onus on us, but in a 2-week time frame, it probably should be fixed. If it's not, a follow-up is good, because they'll come back out and reassess the situation. I kind of got a little bit of guidance with that. They don't keep an active roster other than on their website, the software that they use that shows you the red dot, that's a street light out, and when you click on it, like the chief said, the poll number comes up where it is in its status. But they don't have like an active list that we could go off of. I did ask for that. They don't have that. And they definitely don't have people driving around looking for streetlight outages. They leave that up to us and the taxpayers to report those types of things.
So we used to keep a running list also, but we never were notified by Atlantic City Electric when something was
When it's repaired.
repaired. So, but
Yeah.
now we can just go and look at
look.
the app and see
Yeah.
what's out.
And they may think it's repaired, but it may not be, because it could be underground or some other issues. So they said, if you see that it's not being fixed, please follow up with us, and we'll do our best to get out there and prioritize it.
All right, so we just created an internal streetlight department. Can we have your cell phone number, chief? All right, any more discussion on that, Mr. Franklin?
No, Mayor, thank you, Chief, as well. I appreciate that.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to old business. Rental occupancy issues. I know that, Mr. Galzunas is working on, with our department heads on potential.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Can I be excused, please? I have a.
Yes, go ahead, Joe. Thank you
Okay,
for
thank
coming.
you.
Hi, Joe.
Joe.
Joe, you did a great job tonight.
Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome. All right, so rental occupancy issues, Solicitor Galzunas is working with our various department heads to craft some revisions to our ordinance to tighten up the occupancy issues that were raised at the previous meeting. Lightning detection, I believe there was a quote that everyone should be weighing in on. At some point, we would need to make a decision for budgetary purposes towards later in this fall. Artificial grass, planning board review, so the planning board, as far as the artificial grass, has no interest in changing the current ordinance. However, they are planning on looking at the landscaping ordinance and lot coverage and all that. And I know that that's something that the subcommittee is going to be working on. Anything on that there?
No, we meet, end of September on that, Mayor.
All right. UEZ 5-year plan, so Triad and Steve Bowie from the city of Wildwood are working on that. We gave them our ideas based on our last meeting. 250th birthday committee, we're just looking for volunteers to appoint to a committee. If anyone has any interest, please let Madam Clerk know.
I'm interested.
All right. Wildwood Crest municipal app, that is a budgetary item and something that we're working on for 2025. Old tourism building use, same thing, 2025. Historical museum at the rescue building, also 2025. Proposed amendment to Chapter 79, time limit parking. Mr. Galzunas is working on that, I think, right? All right,
Waiting for an updated total list of spots and times.
gotcha.
Complete list of spots and
By the way, I will say that the revisions that were done on New Jersey Avenue cleaned up the parking issues that we had, so that was actually, it worked out.
been ordered, by the way, Mayor.
What's that?
The signs have been ordered.
Good. All right. Concession agreement, hotel zone and beach chairs, that's on hold. Traffic calming, Constance reported on that in her report with respect to some grant monies for some traffic calming equipment. Some of that's on Park Boulevard. And what was the other location? I'm sorry.
I have the application right here, so, a second. So a majority of this speed control study would be done for Park Boulevard between Cressy and New Jersey as part of the project comprehensive assessments of specific problem areas, including the addition of rectangular rapid flashing beacons that would be located at Sweetbriar and Park, and Ocean and Myrtle would be the two that would be funded through this project if we are funded. And then a bike lane to calm traffic along Park Boulevard and striping is also part of this to coincide with the study, and it's all itemized on the second sheet and tells you exactly which each thing would cost.
Cool. All right, thank you.
That was good, thank you.
Back beach excavation, we're just waiting for the Army Corps. We'll know a little bit more about that actually when our meeting tomorrow. We can ask about that on our team's meeting. Dredging, Connie had already reported on that. There's going to be a changing of the guard at the DOT. New Jersey Avenue infrastructure pre-county. I did speak with Mr. de Blasio earlier about this, so this is something that we actually started it in 2020. And now it's becoming closer to reality because the county's advised us that they're going to start the project 2026. So we have to get our infrastructure work done. So there are some budgetary things that we need to work out with Francine. Public Works roof. We met on site with Mr. Shear and also the co-op manufacturer and our engineer, Czar Engineering, to review that project. So that project is potentially aimed to start after Labor Day, towards the end of that week, or potentially the following week. So the roof will be addressed at Public Works, and at the same time, as I mentioned before, the roof at the pickleball courts and also the basketball courts at the Crest Pier above the restrooms will also be made consistent with the rest of the blue roofs in the borough. Bayside outfalls and capacity, as we mentioned, I think August 28th is the bid opening for that project.
Correct.
Washington Avenue, Connie mentioned, is waiting to hear back from Mr. Rotella on our grant application with FEMA. All right, governing body, anything under the old business you want to add, that you want to comment on, add to?
I'm fine, Mayor.
Him also, thank you.
All right, we're going to go to public comments. We'll start with anybody here in the audience. Just need your name and come on up to the podium.
Hi, I'm Mike Marino, and I'd like to talk about the idea of doing nothing is not an option. I think it's great that we're looking at this, but I think we need to look at some cost, and I'd like to understand cost better. When I do the math, the seasonal class 2s, we give up 7, we get 3 full-time. That doesn't make sense to me. There's a big difference there, when you start to include benefits and things like that. So I have some questions, what rank are these new guys coming in? Is it the only problem here that's driving this is that's why we're hiring these guys, because it has to do with the seasonal 2s just not working out. There's no other thing, and these are probably just regular cops that are coming here, the new 3 full-time. Is that true?
As far as I'm aware.
Okay. So what I would like to know is what is the cost per employee, and you're saying 3 is going to be hired. And when I ask that question, there's a lot that goes into with recruiting. There's marketing material, there could be an interview process, onboarding, training. There's a lot there. There's pre-screening, there's travel expenses, signing bonuses. Are we taking all that into consideration when we go out with this? We need to know who's going to pay for this and how much it's going to cost. So that's my concern, just to be clear. So a new employee might require a computer or a vehicle or maintenance. We got that covered. We're going to add that in. Same thing, gun, uniform, holster, vest, other items to outfit an officer. They're personal. Will they be in the quote or the estimate We don't want to come in short cash or having to pass it on or go out and get a bond. They're my questions. Typical benefits, there's 40% of a salary. So if you hire a police officer at $100,000, and I'm just making a number up to make the math easy, 40% is going to be benefits, right? So now it's 140. We need to know that, and we need to account for that. Along with, it depends on what we give them, right? So if we give them things like medical, dental, disability, and pension, that goes along with the 40. Now, when they retire, if they're getting a pension, medical comes into play a lot of times. Are we going to pay for their medical? I don't know how it works today. We don't. And that's fine, because medical does not sit in a retirement account and you pull it out later. Some companies go back and do away with medical because it's a cost every year that is not there and saved like a pension would be. So that's another concern of mine. So I want to say we need to understand the need and the cost per employee before we discuss an ordinance amendment. We've got to know what we're spending, okay? And it's a short-term and long-term bill we're picking up. And how's it going to be paid? Is it a bond, is it a grant, or is it taxpayers? We have to be upfront with taxpayers if they're going to be expected to ante up here. Okay? I would suggest we table the topic and get some answers before we start saying, I approve, I approve, I approve. The ordinance is good. I think we need to do some study, investigation to know what we're getting involved with. If you want to respond to that, that's fine. And my interest is only the residents, and are we doing the right thing?
We hear you.
Okay?
Yeah,
Any questions?
not for me.
Okay. Anybody else?
So I think most of the questions regarding finances and a lot of things that you had asked have already been discussed and so forth. So I think probably the best thing to do, because I know Francine's probably ill-prepared to talk about that tonight, is probably if I could make a suggestion, is for Mike and Francine to talk about
That'd be great.
Francine's numbers, and you can go over that, and then
Okay.
you can develop once you get more information. And some of the things that you just brought up may not be issues, and some of them may still remain. So
Yep.
and then we can talk about the next time.
The other
Okay.
thing, Mike, would be nice if some of the questions you were talking about, materials, and that can go right to the chief.
Okay. I can give all this to
Can you email
anybody.
it to me,
I'll
and
give
that
it
way
to
I'll
you.
disseminate it,
Yep, yep,
please?
yep.
I can answer most of that right now, if you'd like me to.
Sure. You want to come up, or?
Sure. You have a list? So the hiring and recruiting, we do that every year when we hire Class 2s all year. We train them from December until July every single year. We're not purchasing any new vehicles or anything for these police officers. They're coming in at the rank of police officer. They're going to be recruits while they're in the police academy, but they're going to come in as police officers. Okay, so they're going to be at the lowest step on the wage guide for the contract. Yeah, the hiring and recruitment, we do it every year for our Class 2s. We go to all of the colleges, Rowan, Stockton, ACCC. We spend hours and hours and hours interviewing. We send them to psychological exams. This is a recurring cost every year, so it's not just the salary. We're also talking about each recruit gets 5,000 rounds of ammunition for the police academy. We have to get them uniforms for the summertime that they wear for 2 months, and then they give them back to us. We have to pay them while they're in the police academy. A lot of them start the police academy in December, and they're in the police academy until April, May, and then we're working them as a SLEO officer. We're doing this every year. It's not just the salaries. I do understand that there are legacy costs, and we've been talking about this since February of last year. I think we've identified all the questions, and I'm pretty sure I've answered all the questions with the governing body, which is why they were willing to bring that up in public discussion tonight. Is there anything that I missed?
No, I guess my point was, some of these are additional costs you're not seeing today. I think so, and they're on top of what you're doing.
I think what you need to explain, Chief, is that there is a savings, because we're not doing this for Class 2s anymore, so we're not recruiting Class 2s. We're
So
recruiting
right now,
officers that'll
I
be
have
there.
detectives doing background investigations every single year on multiple Class 2 officers, even the ones that aren't hired, they're still doing background investigations, trying to identify those that we want to hire. We're doing interviews every single year. We're going to the job fairs up at Rowan, at Stockton, at ACCC. We're doing all kinds of advertisement to try to get these recruits or these applicants in every single year. And like I said, then when we do hire them, we have to train them, which means we have to purchase duty belts every year. We have to purchase holsters every year. Our holsters break. We try to recycle a lot of it, but a lot of it breaks. In the uniforms, everybody has different body structure, and when they get their uniform, it's their uniform. When they return it to us, sometimes we can reuse them, sometimes we can't. So that's going to be a cost savings, because we're not purchasing brand new stuff for officers that work here for 2 months.
My concern, again, is just hearing this, and I'm wondering what the costs are, and are there additional? I have no visibility to those things. It's great that I think you do them, but I was thinking, okay, now you got to onboard somebody. Does that take time away from them doing their job? There are some costs, right? You're going to train them. They're going to be new.
Sure.
And I'm just thinking of cost in my head. I don't know if you have a signing bonus.
No,
some
we
companies
don't have
signing
that.
bonus.
And the other costs are really more when we have the twos coming in, because it's reoccurring.
Yep.
This way we have it's a one and done. Bring it
I'm
on.
just throwing these things out there.
So
Right.
let me just put it to you this way: $150,000 a year. 150. What's that? I'm sorry. $150,000 a year, every single year, goes out the door in August when those officers leave.
Okay.
We're spending less for our full-time police officers. Yes, that number is going to increase, but we're also going to have retirements. Things change. There's always moving parts to that. But that investment is now into the future of the public safety of this.
Okay. Good answers.
So,
What's your better return on investment?
You're asking me what I think you should do?
No, I know what I should do,
Oh,
which is why I proposed it to the governing body. I'm just
trying to
give
understand
you-
your question.
Okay.
yeah, I think that, so if I may, between Francine, Chief, and Mr. Marino, if you guys could schedule a meeting and go out, you can certainly just spend all the spreadsheets and go over all the costs, and then if there's additional questions from there, then we can talk about them at the next meeting.
I think it should start with Francine, because most of them, it's all money.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you pretty much answered all the other questions. It will not be paid out of the bond ordinance, and it will not be a grant, just so that you know that as well.
So could it be an increase to taxpayers?
It would fall within the budget of the police department, because
Right.
it's salaries and wages or an other expense.
Okay.
Just to answer those questions.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, I have done an analysis on it, so I'd be more than happy to sit down with you, and we can go over that one-on-one.
So for next year, the cost of what we would be spending on Class 2 officers would cover the new officers that we bring. So I'm not asking for more in my budget to bring in these full-time police officers for next year.
I'll go over that.
Okay.
I'll go over that with you.
Yep.
It's sometimes, I'm a visual person, so I know
Yeah.
sometimes it's
I like
nice to
graphs.
look at it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
All
Very
right.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
All right, anybody else? Or public comment? Anybody on the conference line have any public comment? Okay, that brings us to commissioners' comments. We'll start, whoever wants to go first.
I'm fine for tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
I am also, thank you.
Wow, all right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out for the meeting here
We
tonight.
surprised you this time.
Holy heck.
I can start.
We're in the home stretches to Labor Day, so I know everybody's getting to the point of the year where the summer's wearing on them, and just want to thank our staff for keeping up the good work. 2 more weeks to go, and I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate all of you for coming out to the meeting. And I want to echo what Connie said with the County Bridge Commission and Cape May County and Kevin Lair in particular, and engineering at the county. They what was originally going to be a long time, they got it down to a very short period of time. So instead of 3 months to 6 months, it was 3 days. So that's all.
Can I clear up a rumor?
Sure.
That I heard that both of you were working on that engine.
We were
Last night.
in hard hats. Connie was handing me the wrenches, and I was ratcheting on it. So it's all
Good
good.
job, that was really impressive.
All right.
Good job.
Thank you, everybody. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion?